I think Data East is cool. They had a lot of cool pinball machines. They were like, out of the way Gottlieb, I'm making pinball now. Go change your name to Mildew or something. Maybe a little bit of a rocky start, but hey, we all gotta make a laser war at some point, right? So, I was looking into some Data East pinball machines on ye olde IPDB, and I found a crazy one-of-a-kind table that never got produced. Creativity was abound at Data East. And then I found another cool cancelled table. And then another. So at some point I was like, F it, let's talk about all of them. Get Sega in here too, we'll get the whole party together. There's enough useless pinball knowledge to go around. We're kind of in an age where pinballs are getting remake projects left and right. It's the usual suspects. Capcom, Bally Williams. Well, that's it. So why don't we shed some light on Data East's lost tables, huh? It'll be good fun. Oh yeah, and Sega's here too, I guess. Whoa, get a load of this Frankenstein's abomination of a pinball machine. No, your eyes do not deceive you, those two are sharing a playfield. Brings a whole new meaning to attached at the hip. Well, attached at the back box would be a more accurate. Anyway. This is 1990's Total Recall, and it's a strange two-player table with the top of the playfields fused together. It may remind you of those head-to-head tables, which I promise I'll talk about at some point. The big difference here is that apparently Total Recall would have been co-op, with the two star-studded pinball wizards working together for those juicy points. What a novel concept. I would have loved to see something like this in the wild. Would have been a nightmare to own. Imagine playing that by yourself at 3 AM. Would have been even more of a nightmare to transport. God, I don't even want to think about it. As far as I can tell, the rules of the game are unknown, so the logistics of having to share a ball with your buddy are a bit hazy. No one likes a ball hog, and one player playing 90% of the game and then draining is probably not too fun for the other guy. I could see that being a big turnoff for Data East, but maybe the rules or mechanics would have taken that into account. Who knows? The design, which we do know, comes from Tim Seckel, who may not have done a whole lot, but did do notable games like Last Action Hero and the horribly named The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle. And Friends. I love that one. There's only a whitewood and not even a back box, but art was still made for Total Recall. Looks good. It was done by the magnificent Paul Ferris, famous for many beauties, one of those being Paragon. Ooh, cool, wow. Sorry, I can't state enough how epic that back glass is. As I mentioned before, the game never got that much work done on it. There's no official reason I could find, but I sure can speculate on a few reasons this never came out. You got things like the ball sharing, but it also had a super awkward shape. You're not fitting that thing next to the others, I'll tell you that much. Of course though, there's also price. The biggest killer to any wild pinball project. May they all rest in peace. According to Stern, the one prototype Total Recall mysteriously disappeared sometime between 1996 and 2000. And yet, here it is, sitting pretty in some video from Pinball Expo 1998. What are you doing there, sir? If any of you still wanted to play some side-by-side pinball with your friends, Bally's NBA Fast Break would sort of pick the concept back up in 1997 with its linked-up pinball gameplay. Not exactly the same thing, but it should still get the job done. I guess you could say that it got Total Recalled from the Data East production line. King Kong. What a great theme. This one is an unreleased table from 1990. It had a lot of work done on it. I mean, it looks like any other Data East pinball machine from the time, but still never went into production for business reasons, whatever that means. Why is Stern so cryptic with these things? This left us with just 9 prototypes, which hey, much more complete than the last one. Luckily, all 9 King Kongs have been preserved by private collectors. They'll sometimes make their appearance at expos, so if you happen across one, you'll definitely want to play it. The artwork for King Kong was done by the prolific Kevin O'Connor, who goes all the way back to Bally's 1977 Strikes and Spares. He got scooped up by Gary Stern when Data East rolled around, but did have a brief stint working on game plans also cancelled, Loch Ness Monster. Ooh, what a pretty smile you have. He jumped around companies a little bit after and ultimately ended up back at Stern, where he still makes pinball art to this day. Just take a look at that 007. His artwork here on King Kong is spectacular. Love the perspective on the back glass. He's even fighting a dinosaur back here. The playfield is also beautiful. Oh, and these gorillas on the slings will pop out at you. Just a nice little detail. Definitely better than this other King Kong I found. Ooh. There's sort of two main objectives in the game, climbing the tower and spelling King Kong. You climb the tower by spelling tower on these side targets. Climbing higher and higher awards big points. The right ramp is very lucrative. It's got these 3 ape rollovers, and spelling ape will start a timer to shoot back up the ramp for 1,000,000 points and get a King Kong letter. Spelling King Kong lights everything and lets you go absolutely wild for 15 seconds. Or, if you're me, mess up and do absolutely nothing for 15 seconds. These 3 colored targets in the backlight are locked from multi-ball, not unlike Back to the Future. In fact, this game shares a lot of similarities with Back to the Future now that I think about it, so lucky if you're one of the 9 total fans of that table. The left ramp leads to a cannon, and timing your cannon shot just right nets you 1,000,000 easy points. There's some extra things to do around the playfield too, like targets on the right side for your multipliers, jet bumpers for the jungle bonus, and a tight shot right here for a random radar scan award. The overall layout of King Kong is pretty snappy and can be a real mean one if you're not being careful, but there's just one problem. Well, 2 problems really. You see, since the left and right ramps are so easy to rack up millions of points on, it's just better and safer to constantly go for them than to go for the much riskier tower or multi-ball, or anything else really. So playing this game is more like a lot of shooting either the left or the right ramp over and over again. Not that interesting. Kind of a shame too, cause what we do have here is actually really fun. Well, what I played on VPX is fun anyway. If this table just got a little more fine tuning to the points or the layout, we could have had a real challenging gem here. Oh well, never came out, so whatever. Maybe in another timeline. But for what it's worth, this is just another really cool lost pinball machine. Fits in line with the other Data East tables coming out at the time. I do personally have a soft spot for these late 80s, early 90s tables. Always could go for a good game of mousing around. So no matter what, I'm gonna think it's neat. Can you believe nobody's made a King Kong since? I mean, talk about a great theme. Come on guys, what are you doing? Stern, I know you can give it another go. It'll fit right in with your Godzilla. Alright, maybe this next one wasn't lost per se, you know, not lost in the traditional sense. I only think there was meant to be one, but I still wanted to talk about it. Baby in the Hole was a roll-down game based on babies. You know, if you couldn't already tell by that all baby blue color scheme. Oh yeah, and also the babies. It was designed by the one and only Harvey Heiss, who was a longtime designer for Genko all the way back in the 30s before flippers got all existing and stuff. Gross. After leaving Genko in the 50s, Harvey started kicking around an idea for a novelty table to pay homage to an early pinball alternative. This came from heavy persuasion from one Rob Perk, who was the coordinator for Pinball Expo. I don't know, I guess he just really wanted to see it made. Pinball history and all that. I don't know why anyone would bother. What we got was a special up-to-date roll-down game prototype which was shown off at Pinball Expo 1988. Whoa! Roll-down table? Slow down! I don't know what that is. A roll-down table is sort of like an old flipperless pinball machine, but instead you gotta roll the ball yourself through or over the glass to get into the holes and such. Back when pinball got outlawed, it was really the Wild West of what the hell are we gonna do, and roll-down was some company's answer to get around these new pesky laws. Of course, once flippers came around, it was kind of curtains for anyone that didn't jump aboard the new craze. They did live on in some form in Pasueto gambling parlors. I found some at Knoebels. Crazy. Didn't even plan it, just happened. Even still, it is interesting to look back on some of these ideas. I guess that's where Baby in the Hole comes in. Data East liked the idea so much that they made a super special state-of-the-art roll-down table with sound, music, programming, the whole works as a gift to Harvey Heiss and his legacy as one of the OGs. Wow, that was a long run-on sentence that I wrote. I mean, looking at the playfield, you know, the layout's not too crazy, just a bunch of holes and stuff, but that's all it was ever meant to be. You got this little Noble Games down here on the giant backlash. Apparently Joe Kaminkow talked about using that name for a startup company, but that never ended up happening. Also on the backlash, you have baby versions of Harvey Heiss and Rob Perk. Can I have my nightmares now, please? There's not too much more to say about this one. It was never actually meant to go into production, I just thought it'd be kind of interesting. Usually Data East's gift tables were just reskins of pre-existing designs, so it's cool that we got to see one with so much history infused in it. But like, what's with the babies though? I never figured that one out. Alright, Sega, you're up. What do you got for me? Oh, golf, huh? Yup, that's golf. Alright, I don't get it. What's the catch? What makes this so special? Iron and Woods is a never-produced redemption game from Sega. You got this kinda beautifully simplistic playfield with a few different shots sprinkled around. This layout is completely flat. No ramps here. I don't want to pay for them. And also it takes away from this really nice playfield. Like, who made this? You play the game by hitting a target to select a club and then shooting into a hole to make your shot. If you chose the right club, you'd land in the green and would then have to put the ball into the lit shot. Players could accidentally get a penalty by either shooting this sand trap over here or into the water via these bumpers. Oh, whoops, what are you doing? Get out of the water. This ain't Water World anymore. What? Shoot for D's nuts. If you didn't already guess, this game works on golf rules, meaning you want to get through all the holes in the fewest shots possible. In multiplayer games, the best player would typically get done long before everyone else. GG's loser, now you gotta wait around for everyone else to finish, just like real golf. It's not all bad. If you do well enough, you get a prize golf ball. Oh boy, just what everyone wants. This seemed to be a real simple table, but with its multiplayer focus and unique golf ruling, it probably would have been good fun with friends. I have a few theories on why this never went into production. Games with a lot of people could have taken way too long, and I mean, gimmicky tables like this would have been a big turnoff for pinball fans. Not that Sega cared. People don't typically get excited over golf, other than me. The only other notable golf tables have fun cartoony gophers all over them. This one's just golf. The whole thing might have just been too niche to sell. There's a couple of more interesting tidbits to this one. It has a novelty-styled cabinet, aka good luck moving this anywhere. Derby Days and Road Tracers, which are two other lost Sega tables, also share this trait. Apparently an Iron and Woods went up for sale like 10 years ago, so someone's gotta still have it. If so, please share some footage, I'm begging you. There's like no footage of any of these. Had to go to a shady, dark alley for just a passing glance at Total Recall. Do you guys just lock these away? Like, are they vampires? You can't film them? Come on, let me in on the secret. I gotta see it. There's still some more Data East and Sega tables I wanted to talk about, but there just wasn't enough info on them to make a whole segment. So I figured I could use the rest of my time here to go through them real quick. Mad was a Data East table that never went into production. Apparently, Gary Stern didn't think that the game would do well in the German market. I don't know why. What does Germany have against Mad? It would have been a great theme. The interesting thing about this one is that it has Alfred's head that looks like it would have been like Rudy from Funhouse. Weird. I already brought up Derby Days and Road Tracers, but more specifically, these are two novelty games from Sega. They're essentially the same thing and seem to be odes to those horse racing games of old. You have all those one-off gift pinball machines Data East liked to make, which were mostly just reskins of pre-existing tables for some special reasons. Kabuki is a gorgeous reskin of Tommy made for the then Namco president to try to win them over into buying the pinball division. This didn't work and Data East went to Sega instead. Oops. Arnon Milchan is a reskin of Last Action Hero that looks absolutely cursed. Joel Silver and Wild Horse Saloon are both based on Star Trek. Richie Rich is another one based on Tommy. I already talked about Michael Jordan in the main series, but these were made for charity, based on Lethal Weapon 3. Oh yeah, and Aaron Spelling is also based on Lethal Weapon. Flip Out 91 is an original table made for Pinball Expo 1991. Of all the pinball machines I mentioned today, it's crazy that this one actually has some footage of it. It looks really simple, but it's still cool. And then you got the pinball machines that eventually got reworked into something else. Operation Desert Storm has the same layout as Checkpoint. Mini Viper was an experimental table that was meant to be smaller to fit a 50s style cabinet. This was scrapped in favor of Viper Night Drive-In cause Sega was a little antsy about the size. And lastly, Golden Q got redesigned into Sharky's Shootout once Stern took over. And that's it. That's every lost pinball machine from Data East and Sega. I didn't originally intend on talking about all of them, but I figured why not. It's been a while since I've talked about pinball. You guys deserve it. I do have a bit more of a plan on what my next few videos are going to be. More of an immediate plan, I guess. I'm going to try to do a better job of intersplicing my big projects with smaller fun topics like this. This one was not meant to take this long. Sorry. I don't really want my channel to just be icebergs for half a year. I have a few ideas lined up, and yes, pinball is on there. I've gotten into the habit of putting all my updates at the end of my videos. I know that kind of dates them a little bit, but whatever. I don't want to make an update video, and my plans are always changing. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all the good vibes. If you like my style of content with pinball, I'd highly recommend checking out my video on weird toys. I know it's not pinball, but I am very proud of how that one turned out. Alright, I'll stop being a shill. Don't forget to, have a great day. Yeah, I still don't know how to end these right.